I'm Connor Old, and this is Old's Oscar Countdown. And today we're going to be looking at the Best Supporting Actress category. Believe that? We're on our fourth episode already. Time has flown by. I love doing this show. I'm really having a blast with it. Please leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to all that stuff. I love seeing fan interaction from the few fans I have and the few views I have, but that doesn't matter because I love doing it. And this is for the people, the small people though, who care about the Oscars like I do and is so passionate about movies and other things. And this year's supporting actress race, I think, is a little bit similar to last year's. There's been some surprises that maybe would have been included in my best lead actress category, but are now campaigning for best supporting actress, just because lead actress, like I said in my lead actress video, is so competitive. This one is too competitive, especially between these top two people who I will explain if you haven't seen the show yet. I go through every single week, going through different categories, predicting who I think is going to win in the not win but get nominated, and then I'll do winning later on for the Oscars in 2017. I may do some updated results, so this may be not the only best supporting actress category. Not entirely sure what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely going to try to get through almost all the categories before the Oscar nomination occurs. And if anything changes, I might do a separate video just explaining my before nominations and then reactions to nominations. And then I'll go right into the thing, like, okay, who did I get right? Who's new that surprised me, and why did I think maybe they could win, etc., etc. Since for best lead actor, I think I got pretty solid, but there's a couple that might surprise people that are definite, almost definite nominations for some people. But for me, they're only possibles. So I'm going to read my list on my first generation iPad of who I think is going to get the nomination, and then some possible ones. So first we have Michelle Williams, Manchester by the Sea; Naomi Harris, Moonlight; Aja Naomi King, Birth of a Nation; Felicity Jones, A Monster Calls; Viola Davis, Fences; Octavia Spencer or Janelle Monáe for Hidden Figures; Greta Gerwig for 20th Century Woman; Kristen Stewart for Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk; and Nicole Kidman for Lion. Now let's go into the first one. Michelle Williams for Manchester by the Sea. I saw this movie at TIFF, and to be honest, she was definitely the lead runner before someone who I will mention later sort of took that spot for me. She's second place, who I think is going to win. And for me, just I saw the movie. She's really good at it, and she has this really one good standout scene. It's super emotional, and everyone I kept hearing talk about, oh wow, she's definitely gonna get that supporting actress win nomination for sure, but possibly win. And to me, she has a very small part in the role, so it's not necessarily a good supporting role. She has one really good scene, that Oscar scene that is so good for those reels, those clip reels, and you can see it now which one they're gonna pick just by watching the movie. But to me personally, she didn't give for supporting actress has to be sort of in it throughout the movie, but she's not a lead actor. And this Michelle Williams is in it, not in it a lot, so I'm a little disappointed with that. But what she does is good, and she's definitely an Oscar darling in terms of she's been nominated multiple times before. So this very well could be her win. We'll see. And then the next one pick is Naomi Harris's Moonlight. I also saw this one at TIFF, and I heard her Q&A, and she seemed very sincere about the project. This is a smaller project, it's an indie movie, and hopefully she gets recognized for it because she is really good in the movie. She was actually my favorite part of the movie. She's fantastic, and she only shot her scenes in 2 days while she was filming Spectre, because this is sort of a passion project for her, and she committed just those 2 days, which is all she could do while filming Spectre, to do Moonlight. And let me tell you, she knocks it out of the park as a crack addicted mother. And I remember, I'm not sure exactly what she said in the Q&A, but I'm going to try to recreate it. She said essentially that she never really wanted to take these roles. This crack addict she plays in movies because she wants to portray women in a positive light, in a strong, independent woman sort of fashion, which is, that's a great thing. But in this movie, she was so compelled by the script that she wanted to do it because it was just, she felt so compelled to the character and just wanted to be a part of this so much, and really put it in all of her performance. It was just a really good performance. Probably my favorite out of this list. I love Naomi Harris and Moonlight, and I hope she wins, but I do not think she's going to win. But I think she's going to get nominated, which is, that's something. Recognition. That's what she needs. Next one is Aja Naomi King for Birth of a Nation. Now, of course, everyone knows of the scandal with Nate Parker in surrounding Birth of a Nation, which has dropped it off a lot of people's Oscars lists. But Aja Naomi King is the only one that's been able to stay around, and essentially. I think that Nate Parker has gone under the flack because he directs it, he stars in it, he produces it. I think he maybe even wrote it. He's like the main guy, sort of Mel Gibson's Braveheart in a sense. and he's going to get a lot of flack, and I feel like that's sort of not applying to Aja Naomi King. And from what I've heard, she's arguably the best part of the movie, and she's really gonna. I have yet to see it. I'll get around to seeing it, but it's not on my priority so far, just because overall I've heard sort of mixed things. But the acting's good, and she's one of the best parts of it. So I think she's gonna get it. But if anything, she'd be that fifth and sixth, possibly replaced by one of my possibles. Now the next one I got here is Felicity Jones in A Monster Calls. Now I've heard great things about this movie, just like really great things, but people can't talk about it right now, even though they've already seen it ad nauseum in terms of how they'd like to talk about it due to embargoes and such. And Felicity Jones, she was part of the Theory of Everything that had obviously Oscar buzz. So she's definitely recognized. She's the star of the new Star Wars Rogue One, so that's a huge deal to be a lead in a Star Wars woman and female. So she's definitely not like this smaller sort of role. So I actually think she's a pretty good lock for this because she's supposedly really good in Monster Calls. And when you have a sort of a tree and a boy, I don't think they're going to nominate the boy. I don't think they're going to nominate the tree. So who's the next best? Felicity Jones. And I haven't seen the movie yet, but from what I've heard, she does what I said before, which I like out of supporting actress movies, supporting the movie. And she's not the main character. It's mostly the relationship between the boy and this sort of magical tree. But she's there, and she supports it, and she does a great job in her scenes. Not necessarily scene stealing, but she definitely supports her. And unlike Michelle Williams, who had one good scene and sort of stole the scene, but didn't really do anything else, she went throughout the entire movie from what I've heard, which is something that I like to hear. Now our final one, the one who I think is going to win, and I didn't think so before, but then she entered the race for supporting actor because lead actress was so difficult, Viola Davis for Fences. I was actually surprised. I thought Denzel was going to get the nomination for Best Lead Actor, and Viola is going to get the Best nomination for Best Lead Actress. But I think her Oscar campaign, she sort of realized that lead actress is so competitive that I think she might have won, but it would have been so close, her and Natalie Portman with Jackie and Amy Adams with Arrival, that she said, screw it, I have a better chance winning supporting actress. And it seems like that's what she's campaigning now. It's official. She's campaigning for supporting actress, which is interesting because I thought they were sort of like co-leads in terms of Denzel and Viola. But I think she's going to win. I've heard just amazing things from Viola Davis, that her acting is superb. It's a very emotional film. And in terms of her and Michelle Williams, I think this is going to be sort of the same scenario which we saw last year with Alicia Vikander and Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet won the Golden Globes, but Alicia Vikander was the front runner for the Oscars and did win for the Oscars. I think that's going to be the same thing here. I think Fences is going to release a little bit late, so for the Golden Globes, they will nominate Michelle Williams, which has been around since Sundance, and a lot of people have seen it, so it's going to get the votes there. But then when it comes to Oscars, I think Viola Davis will win it. Now, before I talk about my possibles, I just want to mention that this is three black women here, women of color, and which is maybe a reason why someone like Aja Naomi King might get left off the list, because even though Oscars have added a lot of people of color onto their board, and they're definitely going to rebound from that Oscars so white controversy, which I think they're definitely going to nominate for my predictions. It's not going to be all white this year, definitely not. But three, that's going to be really great if this happens. But there's still Oscar politics, which goes into my next possible, which is Nicole Kidman for Lion. She's my number one possible. A lot of people have her at third. Some people might be surprised I left her off the list. She's definitely going to be the one where it's like she gets the nomination, but it's like probably could have replaced her with Aja Naomi King or maybe some of my other picks here. But she's she's been in the industry for a while. She's definitely liked, and she's been in some great movies like in terms of Oscars and critically at least. And I've heard she does a great job in Lion supporting Dev Patel. But Lion for me is it's so interesting, this movie, because I'm not sure how it's going to do. Same with Birth of a Nation. It was so hard to judge. A lot of people like Harvey Weinstein says Lion's going to do really well. Birth of a Nation's been championing it for years. So those two movies are hard to predict. That's why I just leave Nicole Kidman off the list. But it's definitely a risk for me. I just think in terms of Birth of a Nation and Lion, Aja Naomi King and Nicole Kidman, they can definitely be replaced. They're almost like fifth and sixth, if you were to say. But I picked Birth of a Nation just because I think Lion's going to get it in other categories. And then my other possible, Octavia Spencer or Janelle Monáe in Hidden Figures. Now, I've heard from a friend at Toronto that a lot of people were mad because it actually premiered at Toronto, but only parts of it. Said they wouldn't even finish editing the movie. So a lot of people were like, what? I paid and I waited in this line to see like part of the movie? That's sort of lame. They want to see the whole movie, almost a waste. So it should come out at the end of the year, and Janelle Monáe is probably the front runner over Octavia Spencer. But if you don't know, this is about three black women, I believe in the 70s, who worked for NASA, and just a powerful, positive message that I think is going to get rewarded. And Janelle Monáe was also in Moonlight, so she sort of has that great year that can possibly give her the nomination for sure. Which, I mean, if she replaces someone like Felicity Jones, that'd be 4 out of 5 being women of color, which would be great just to see. You know, I mean, in terms of going from all white to people of color, in terms of seeing that the Oscars are listening and that they're not just making it sort of that white, all white acting nominations, at least they've had for the past few years, that controversy that's been surrounding them. Next possible is Greta Gerwig for 20th Century Woman. Another person that possibly could get in there, sneak in there, similar to Nicole Kidman for Lion. But this 20th Century Woman, another hard movie to judge because I haven't heard so much Oscar buzz for it, more just like critical buzz for it. A lot of people enjoy it, and it's hard to decide who's going to get what because Annette Bening, I think, is going to get lead actor. But then there's also Elle Fanning and Greta Gerwig, who are apparently going for supporting actress, and Greta Gerwig is leading that. So if the Oscars voters see 20th Century Woman, that's my one problem. I don't think they're going to see it, but if they do see it, I think Greta Gerwig could possibly get in there. That's why she's a possible. And the last one, which I actually just took off the list recently, is Kristen Stewart's Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. As you can tell, I've been saying that for every possible, but it's possible. It's possible that they can get in. It was tough for me because I haven't seen some of these movies and I can't necessarily judge their performance. But Kristen Stewart for Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. I only take her off the list because Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk hasn't been doing as well critically as I thought it would do. I thought it would do a real critical darling and Ang Lee, and that would give them the Oscar buzz. But I really haven't. I've heard just pretty okay things. It does, the 48 frames per second, and that's all the headlines I've been seeing. Not really how good the movie is, but apparently she's good in it. But even still, Kristen Stewart has had that stigma before with the director and cheating on Robert Pattinson. So I'm not entirely sure if that will be there, but that's why I sort of took her off the list. But at one point, she was a solid nomination on my list. So maybe I'll go back and put her on before the Oscar nominations. Okay, that's it. Next week, I will be doing Best Supporting Actor, and then after that, Director. That's my plan so far. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like the video, subscribe, comment, do whatever you like. And if you enjoyed the video, come back for next week. And until then, stay tuned.